statistics. Chief hours after data showed jobs growth slowed. Trump moves nuclear submarines after ex-Russia. Dozens of countries scramble to cope with latest wave of Trump trade tariffs.
Making a deal with the devil always starts the same way. A promise, a price, and a moment of hesitation. When your gut whispers, don't. But what if you're a world leader, and the devil sits atop the world's most powerful economy, flanked by threats, tweets, and tariffs? What does it cost to bargain with someone who can't be trusted? And what if that devil might be breaking the law? Donald Trump's presidency was built on deals, but many of those deals began with blackmail. Trump's tariffs slammed allies and enemies alike: Canada, Mexico, Europe, India, South Korea, and Japan. Steel, aluminum, automobiles, washing machines. He used Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, which allows tariffs in cases of national security. Originally designed during the Cold War, Section 232 allowed tariffs in cases of real national security, like uranium imports during nuclear escalation. But Canada? Europe? That stretch didn't just raise eyebrows, it raised constitutional questions. Here's something most Americans don't know. Tariff powers legally belong to Congress. Under Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, it is Congress, not the President, that has the authority to regulate commerce with foreign nations. And yet Trump bypassed Congress by exploiting decades-old laws and emergency powers. Many legal scholars, even some Republicans, warned that this was executive overreach. So not only were Trump's tariffs chaotic, they may have been legally dubious, but the courts were hesitant, and foreign leaders were forced to play the game, whether they liked the rules or not. So what was it like behind the scenes? Imagine you're the leader of a democratic nation. Your industries depend on U.S. trade, and suddenly you're threatened with economic ruin unless you bow, flatter, or deal. Many swallowed their pride, not because they respected Trump, but because they feared retaliation. This wasn't diplomacy. It was economic brinksmanship, wielded by a man with a thin skin and a long memory. Was it worth it? Some leaders avoided the worst, others lost face with their own citizens, but everyone lost something. To accommodate Trump's lies was to legitimize them. To negotiate in fear was to normalize a world order where might makes right. This is the very thing the post-World War II global order tried to prevent. And in choosing silence over solidarity, many nations helped weaken the values they once stood for. Trump claimed his tariffs were about America first, but who actually won? Not American consumers. Prices rose, especially for goods with foreign components. Not U.S. farmers. They lost global markets and needed billions in government bailouts. Not factory workers. Many of the jobs he saved were offset by others that quietly disappeared. The brunt of the tariff burden has fallen on U.S. consumers and firms. The winners? A few select industries with lobbying power, and Trump himself, who turned trade chaos into campaign applause lines. Could the world have stood together? Yes, but the Trump doctrine was divide and conquer, not that it's too late. The EU tried joint action. China struck back with counter-tariffs. Japan was careful but weary. But without U.S. leadership in its own alliances, the international order buckled. Damage wasn't just financial, it was philosophical. It told the world that the United States could be held hostage by its own president, and that law, diplomacy, and decency could be thrown out if the man at the top said so. When you make a deal with the devil, you might gain a momentary edge, a concession, a headline, but you lose something deeper. Trust, credibility, principle. Trump's tariffs weren't just bad economics. They were a test of law, of loyalty, of how far the world would bend before it breaks. If you bow to a bully once, he'll make it a habit. And I ask you, what are we becoming by tolerating this? Why aren't we standing up together to face him? I'm Scott Layton, your host, and this is the Renaissance Spirit. And as a kid who was beaten up a lot, trust me, I know bullies. This is Renaissance Spirit, where history lives and truth doesn't blink. Subscribe for more stories that don't just report, they reveal.